Shalom to the bride of the Messiah, and shalom, shalom to the scattered Hebrew Israelites. For you are the bride of Yahuwah, and Yahuwah is the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Shalom. First, let me clear my voice this morning. Sorry about that. Okay, my brothers and sisters, the third new moon has been sighted for this year of the 2019. In the heathens calendar, also known as Satan calendar, or the fourth beast calendar that Daniel prophesies in chapter 7. What you see before you is the Most High calendar. And let me first open up with this. Please check the video description box. Please remember our sister Joy and her family. For many of you may know about her case and some of you may not. But this is the young lady that went missing and they found her body. And from different sources, and I haven't found a confirmation yet, but some sources have said that the young man that was accused of her being missing had confessed to killing her, but I'm still waiting to get the report on that and to get the confirmation. Israelites, however, and Gentiles, I need y'all to remember this family, to continue to pray for this family, because joy is a part of the body of the Messiah. Joy is a part of the bride. She is our sister. And when we remember what the words say, we should love one another. We should love the Most High with everything we got. So how do we love Sister Joy and her family? This is how. If that was my sister who went missing, I would want someone to help. Someone who knows anything to confess the truth. So we can have, what's the word I'm looking for? Comfort. To know where she's at and what happened to her. Because it's a grievous thing to lose someone and not be able to find them. That's a very hard thing for any mother or father to go through. So please remember that family. Thank you. Also, when you have a chance, please check out the video description box for Yahuwah prophetic message. He has spoken himself, Israelites and Gentiles. He has spoken as written in the word. Joel chapter 2, Acts chapter 2, Numbers chapter 11, and Numbers chapter 12. He has let us know what season we are in, for we know soon the bride, the 144,000, and the nation of Israel shall be redeemed. Okay, now let us begin with the calendar. Just a quick review. For those who are still learning the Most High calendar, the word will teach you. You go back in Torah at the first book, which is known as Genesis, the beginning of all books. It will teach you that the Most High calendar is made up of 3 lights. Read Genesis chapter 1 and look at verse 14. For these 3 lights makes up his calendar. They are the sun, the moon, and Mazzaroth. And Mazzaroth is a Hebrew word, and it can be found in the Bible. Look in the book of Job. And it means the 12 signs. Today, the Gentile call it the zodiac. To get more information about that, you can also read the work of Josephus. However, these 3 lights work together to form his calendar. If anyone is teaching you about his calendar and only giving you 1 light, they are in error. For each light has a certain part to play. Another prophet writing to read to learn more about his calendar and to understand these things, because these things can be witnessed in the heavens. Just go out and observe the heavens and you will see what I'm talking about. The prophet Enoch wrote a first book, a second book, that pertains to the heavens. Many of our brothers and sisters go in error, and when they read Enoch, they just look at a particular verse and they run with it. You have to read the whole volume of the book of Enoch to understand how these three lights work together. For example, how does the moon stay in season? I will give this to you. And Enoch talk about this. Did you not know that the heavens produce an extra moon in seven folds within the 19 years? And what I'm saying unto you that it produced a moon 7 times. And you know the number 7 is special unto the Most High. It is a sanctifying number. It's a holy number unto him. And the reason why the heavens does this, because if you study the moon's circuit and you compare it to the sun's circuit, it is shorter. It was like that when it was created, when things was perfect, before Adam fell. For example, the sun was a total of 364 days, and the moon was a total of 360. Evidence of this can be found in the heavens as well as in the Bible when you look at those ancient records. However, as time persists, things change. And Enoch also give you the numbers of what the sun circuit is today and what is the moon circuit is today. That's why I say you have to read the whole volume of the book to understand these things. Okay, for those who are new of learning the Most High calendar, please make sure you read the Bible, Enoch's writings, Jubilees, the work of Josephus, and any other book. Please read those things for yourselves, okay? And when you don't understand anything, please seek the Comforter, for he shall teach you all things. No longer shall flesh teach you, but the Spirit shall teach you. 1 John chapter 2, verse 27, and John chapter 14 to John chapter 16. And I just want to emphasize again, whomever you are learning from or reviewing or looking at their calendar records, their calendar records must consist of these three lights. Okay? Now for the next thing. If you are still wanting more information about the Most High calendar, on the channel there is a playlist that will give you understanding about the Most High calendar. Okay? So you can go to the channel and look at that playlist, or you can go to the video description box for the playlist is listed. Okay? Now what you see before you in the first block, you see the word here, last Shemitah. You can read that silently. In the video description box, there's a link to the Google document. This calendar can be printed out and is no charge unto you, my brothers and sisters. Remember, the word has been paid for you, and you shall not be charged. Okay? No one should charge you for his calendar. That is wrong. Okay? So in the first part is a lot of important information letting you know what season we are in, what was the holy festival that occur within this season of the spring. Okay. Also, it gives you the record when the last Shemitah was, when the last Jubilee was, and most important, it gives us what day we are in from Adam. Okay. Now, the numbers you see here of the years from Adam, it's just an estimation, okay? Such as from what I came across, what Brother Howshua came across, and what Beta Israel came across. And what we had learned from, our calculations, it would show that we are in the 7th day from Adam. And here's the reason why you need to know this. When the Messiah prophesied these things in Matthew 24, it goes in hand with the Apocrypha. The Apocrypha had the missing piece to give you more understand about Daniel's and Revelation, what is yet to come. And within the writing of Ezra, the high priest, he was given a lot of sacred divine mysteries, understandings, and knowledge of the Most High. And he too give you the designated season when we are expecting the Messiah to come. However, as the Messiah prophesies, we shall not know the day and hour of his coming, but we shall know the season of his coming, and the heavens and the earth will display this. So when you have some time, read that, and also I list biblical scriptures so you can understand. Well, I'm sorry. I list biblical scripture to give you more understanding about the Most High calendar and why it's done this way. For remember, the heavens and the earth go in hand. They work together. What's displayed in the heaven will also manifest in the earth. In other words, when you learn about his calendar, it's going to teach you about agriculture. And certain things must come forth in its proper due season, which go in hand with his holy feast days. Okay, but let us begin, because I can keep talking and talking about this calendar, and I want to be direct and straight to the point. Just a quick review. Let's recap from the first month to the third month. Okay, and I want to scroll down to this important information here. Remember, everything that the Father asks us to do is for a reason. It is to teach us divine things, to give us understanding about him, and to give us understanding about his ways, his thoughts. Okay? Because we have been taught too long by the heathens. And if you learn anything about the Most High, his ways is totally opposite of the heathens. Okay? It is totally different. And his ways are better than the ways of the heathens. Okay? So when we look at the first month, what I want to point out to you, what was the significance of the first month? We know Passover, known as Peshach, take place in this month. What was the purpose of this month? What was the Most High teaching the Israelites? This was the month that they enter into his Sabbath. Many of us don't understand what that means. What does it mean to enter into his Sabbath? Go back and read. The answer can be found in Torah and in the New Covenant, or also known as the New Testament. See, you have to understand the beginning and what happened to Adam and how we became servants, how we became in bondage to the principality of darkness, of death and destruction. So when the Most High brought Israel into his rest, you really need to meditate on that and to understand what that means. So the first month represent of us entering into his rest. Okay. Now when we look at the second month, okay, let's look at this. I'm gonna bring this in closer. It represent, let me get some more light over here too. Hopefully that'll help some, where we can all see. It represent, okay, here it go. I'm sorry. The way I type this word, I'm with the highlight, what the color is very hard to see. But what that word say is the second month represent Israel knowing his Sabbath day. The Most High in heaven in the second month gave Israel what day his Sabbath day came. For when you read the Bible and the work of Josephus, Jubilees, and many other sacred books, you will learn that Israel forgot the ways of what was taught unto them by their forefathers. See, all the ancient ones knew about the holy, what's the word I'm looking for? Knew about what things to keep and what not to keep. Okay? But when you read the second book about his Sabbath, what we did not know is that not anyone could just keep it in the earth. See, something had to take place in order for man to keep the Sabbath. Because remember, Adam fell. Okay? So when you look at the first month, Going to the second month, something took place before he given them knowledge on when the Sabbath day was. Now there's videos on the channel on that, but I'm saying this unto you as a question because you need to meditate on this. What was done then is done again. You have to be sanctified to keep the Sabbath. And because Adam fell, a nation had to be chosen. A nation had to be sanctified to keep the Sabbath. I want you to meditate on that because there is evidence in the Bible as well as in the other sacred books to prove what I'm saying unto you. This is why we only see the mention of the Sabbath in the book of Genesis, and we don't see it again until Exodus, when the birth of the nation came forth. Okay, and that's all I want to say on that. Now we're going to get to this third month. So the title of the third month is The Third New Moon 2019, the month of the covenant, the marriage. So the third month is known as the month of the covenant / the marriage. We need to meditate on this. Do you see what Yahuwah was doing with the Israelites? With each of these months in his calendar, it had a message to give us understand that it's like, even with us, that's right, we got to go through, stages. In other words, before you can go to the next step, something had to take place in order for the next step to take, in order for you to take the next step. I'm sorry about that. I hope you understand what I'm saying here. We have to go through certain stages as we go higher and higher with the Most High, as he's bringing us up to spiritual things or giving us understanding on spiritual things and bringing us up to his level. Okay. So before we start in the third month, the Father's reminding me I need to close out the second month. In the second month of his calendar, we had a total of 29 days. Okay. Let me turn this light away so we can see. And excuse my device. It's not the best device that we have. I just want you to see that number being closed out. And I do need to apologize. It wasn't 29 days. It was exactly 30 days when this took place. Here we go. And as usual, I always scroll down too fast. And I always scroll too quickly. Here we go. So in the second month, we had a total of 30 days for the moon. As for the sun, we'll talk about that as we get into the third month, and we'll go over how many days the sun's second month had. Okay. As for the specific details of the exact number of days in the moon circuit and the sun circuit, we're going to do that in another video when we look at the first quarter of the Most High year. Okay. Now let's go to the third month. And one last thing I do need to mention once we get to it. Notice with each of the month, the first, the second, and the third month, notice that something significant happened on the 15th day of each month. And I do want to point that out to you. So in the first month, we had Exodus to happen. That's the day when they enter into his Sabbath. Okay. Then in the second month, that's when they enter into the wilderness of sin. And in that month, he tells them, he gives them when are his Sabbath days. Okay. Go back and read Exodus chapter 16. You'll see it. And then when we get to the third month, which we're going to talk about, that is the day when they enter in in Mount Sinai. Okay, so let us begin. Sorry about that. I don't mean to make this video long, but I was looking for the right words so you can understand what I'm saying. So now we're going to begin in the third month, and I do apologize. Once I can get my little cursor right. Let me see, can I just bring it over here? There we go. So we are in the third month of the Most High calendar, and it does fall in the heathen year of 2019 to 2020. So in this month would be the last month, but I'm going to write down what is Brother Howshua month because we're back on the same track. So I'm not going to keep putting that same information again. Okay. However, for those who do not follow a 13th moon, this is very important because what you're going to find, many of those brothers and sisters would not confess unto you. Somehow they're going to come close to what month we are in and not tell you the truth. But all you got to do, go back in their old videos in the year of 2015 to 2016. If they have not taken it down, you would find that most of them did not keep a 13th month. So since from the year of 2015 to 2016, by them not adding a 13th month, they are now in their 5th month. And if you understand how the heavens work with the earth, you will learn they're out of season. So they kept their Passover in the winter season. Therefore, they didn't have no barley to offer on the Vid 16th. And the Vid 16 is known as the sheep wave offering day. And as we talked about in past videos, Abib 16 represent the day when the Messiah resurrected from the grave and he brought the captives out of Sheol. Okay. It also represent the day when the manna ceased in the days of Joshua. All right. And again, it represent the Omer or the sheep weight offering that we have to bring to the high priest to represent the first fruits of the barley harvest, which go in hand with the resurrection. Okay, there's a mystery in that. And for those who are his elect, his chosen, you will understand what I'm talking about because the carnal go in hand with the spiritual. Okay. So again, those who did not follow or add a 13th month in the year of 2015 and 2016, they are in their 5th month. Okay. Now let me go down here. And I'm going to bring this up for you just a little bit more. So in the 3rd month, in the Hebrew tongue, it's known as Shivan. Okay. And you can find that word in Esther chapter 8, verse 9, and Baruch chapter 1, verse 8. And it means their covering. Oh my goodness. Do you see how I go in hand about this month being the month of the covenant, the month of the marriage? Oh, the covering. Okay, but let us keep going. So in the pagans' year, it fell in their heathen month known as June and July, in the year of 2019 AD. And in this month, we will be soon entering into the sun's 4th month. Okay. And since I'm here on this, in this row right here, I'm going ahead and give you the sun's number of days for the 3rd month. The sun had a total of 31 days for the 3rd month. Okay. All right. Now, you know that the heathens do not follow the heavens. Therefore, they are way ahead. And when you study history and you studied about like from the Romans ancient calendar all the way up to what Constantine did, what you would learn is that before Constantine came on the scene, the Romans calendar actually started in March. It didn't start in January. This is why you see this number a lot higher. Okay. Also, this is why you see them days ahead of us. Also, you will learn that Constantine did a lot of changes from what the Romans had already established in their calendar. And when you study about their calendar, you will learn why you cannot use their calendar for any of the most high holy days and holy feast days. And there was a great error that occurred when they were making corrections. Because you know what, like I said, they don't follow these lights. They don't follow their circuits. So there was days behind the sun, for example. And I believe it was in the year of, was it, I know it was 1752 for America. And I think it was 1450 something for America. But on the channel, there is a video that's a video titled that the Israelite cannot dispute the error. But anyway, to make a long story short, when they would realize they were so many days behind the sun, when they made a correction based on their calendar format, they did it incorrectly. So when you see that error, you begin to see why you cannot use that calendar to give you the Sabbath days or the holy days. You will have to go back to the heavens as written in Genesis chapter 1 verse 14 to give you that. Okay. All right, let's keep going. So also, when we look at the ongoing count in the heathens calendar for starting with the month of May, they had a total of 92 days. But in the most high, they had a total of 151 days. That's in the heathens. But in the most high calendar, we had a total of 92 days. Okay. Going up to month 2. All right. So in the 3rd month of the moon, the sun would be enter into its 4th month. Now, the designated day for the Sabbath based on the heavens will fall on the heathen day known as Tuesday and Wednesday. Also, here are some scriptures you can read that pertains to the 3rd month, because in this 3rd month, for some of us, we are still counting towards Pentecost, known as Shavuot, and others are keeping Pentecost in this month. And then we'll talk more about that as we go further in this video. But here's our scriptures to give unto you to study for Shavuot, known as Pentecost. But there is a formula that is listed in Leviticus chapter 23. And those who look at English, there is a conjunction. There's 2 parts to count for Shavuot. So it explains why you will see some keeping it in the 3rd month and others keeping it in the 4th month that is yet to come. Okay. Let me go scroll down a little bit more. So that's why you see me have type in red. There is a playlist you can click on to get more information about that. But it says here, okay, I was hoping I didn't go too fast. It said, remember the count to Pentecost. Shavuot is 7 complete Sabbaths and 50 days. For wheat and grapes are right in summertime. Also, Pentecost Shavuot is also known as a twofold festival. And there's a video you can watch to get more understanding. So those who understand more about agriculture, you will learn that wheat and grapes is only ripe in summertime. So as we go further in this calendar, you need to ask yourself, what season are we still in? I'm going to give you the answer now. We are still in spring. So some of them who's keeping Pentecost has kept it in the spring season and not in the summer season. And you will see this. Okay. Now we're going to look at the first day of the moon. And also to review that the 3rd month is the month of the marriage, the covenant, known as the covering. Because he said the day would come, they would call the day will come, Israel will call him Ishai, my husband. He covers us. Wow. Okay. So on the first day that the new moon was seen, it was seen in the West and many other countries. You can go to renewmoon.com. You can go to Facebook. There are groups that are following this. You can also go to Truth Table Ministries, and that is your proof and confirmation that the new moon was seen on June the 4th at sundown. Okay. Again, this fulfilled prophecy that Enoch prophesies about how the moon shall not appear at her appointed time. And it fulfilled Yahuwah prophetic prophecy. You have to read that message. I keep going on with every video. He states that the moon would do this as well too. Go back and read that prophetic message. Print it out. And it's the reason why it's doing that, Israelites. It is a sign unto you to let you know who you are. For we are scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, and we are not established in our proper place. Therefore, the heavens shall cry out, shall manifest unto us, because we are not in our proper place. Okay? So the new moon was seen in the west on June the 4th at sundown, and it fell on the sun's third month and 15th day. Okay? Also, for a biblical fact, in the days of Noah, on the first day of the make sure I get the right month for Noah. Let me look at my little reference here to make sure I got it right. It would say the 7th month. Okay, and the reason why I say 7th month, not 7th month. Let me look at my little note here. Wait, is it? It done changed on me. Sorry about that. Here we go. Make sure I get the right month. In the days of Noah, it fell on the 10th month. Okay, you probably said, but this is the 3rd month, and I will explain. But this biblical event occurs in the 10th month in the days of Noah. And in this month, we had him to establish the covenant. And the sign of this covenant being established was the rainbow in the days of Noah. You have to read Jubilees chapter 6, verse 19, but also just read that whole chapter. So let me explain. Let's see, make sure I got it right. No, it would be the 9th month. I do need to apologize. Not the 10th month of Noah, the 9th month of Noah. Forgive me, my brothers and sisters. All right, let me explain why. In the beginning of Genesis, the first month of the Most High calendar was Tishri, Ephraim, in the beginning. Okay? How do we know this? The confirmation can be found in Exodus and Leviticus. What did he tell Moses? He said unto him, now Abib will be your first month. So therefore, Tishri, Ephraim, became the 7th month. So this is why when you read the book of Jubilees, you got to make sure you remember what is the correct month, because it doesn't change until you get into the days of Moses. Another proof of this can be found in Leviticus chapter 25, to prove unto you that the 7th month that we know today, Tishri or Ephraim, was the first month. When you look at when Shemitah start and when Jubilee start, it starts in the 7th month and on the 10th day. That is the proof unto you, Israelites and Gentiles. That was the beginning of months, which makes sense. For the 7th month represent the Aleph and Taw. In the Greek tongue, they would say Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end. The heavens display a sign of this, of the beginning and end, in which can be found in the sun circuit, Tekafar. But it was changed. It was changed in the day of Moses now. So Abib is the first month of our year now. I hope you understand what I'm talking about. But if not, go back and read, and you will see. So, on the first day of the 3rd month of the moon, we have Noah to establish the rainbow covenant. Okay? Which fall in Noah's day, it would be the 9th month. Okay? So, what I probably have to do here, when I get to the 9th month of the Most High calendar, I'm going to copy and paste this event in this 9th month. That's when it takes place. But when you read the book of Jubilees, you will learn that the Israelites had to honor what Noah established. Okay? And you will see. And that what Pentecost represent. It's a twofold festival to remind us what was established between Noah and the Most High Yah. Okay, let us go. Let us continue to go down. So that was the first day of the moon. However, Israel did not see the new moon, nor did Brother Hashur. So Brother Hashur saw the moon on day 2. Okay. However, Israel could not still see the moon. When I look at the Jewish reports, and I say Jewish, I'm talking about Yahad, they are converts. They couldn't see the moon. Shalom, shalom, everyone. They couldn't see the moon on the first day because of clouds. Okay. And on day 2, they still say they couldn't see the moon. Okay. However, I found from one of my resources I go to, I'm looking for that paper I had with the note because I had his name. He said that he did see the moon. What did I do with that paper? Okay, it's one of these days. Cannot find it. But anyway, I believe his name was Mark Harris. So later on this week, I'm going to post photos of witness reports of, what their report of the moon and why they couldn't see it. There's a link above this calendar with the moon sighting photos you can click on. But give me a couple of days to add those photos, okay? But it was Mark Harris that said that he saw the moon on, let me get the date, let me scroll down. So you can have it. That he saw it on June 5th. Now, here's the thing you're going to know about math with the Jewish and with Brother Hashur. I don't understand how they do their math because we can all add math like 1 + 1. When you look at the second moon, when you look at the second month, their first day began on day 3. So we had a total of 30 days in this month, okay? So when we do our count, okay, so I had a total of 30 days for the second month. When I subtract 2 from 30, I get 28, okay? So our first day of the moon would be day 29 for Brother Hashur and for the Jewish. And day 2, since Brother Hashur saw it, it'd be day 1 for him, but Israel didn't see it. However, when you go to those different reports of the Jewish, they're gonna say that they're gonna say that this day will automatically be day 1 for them. Now, those who've been following the Jewish reports, we know that they usually don't make the next day automatically day 1 until they get to 30. But yet they're going to claim that on day 2 of this moon, it was day 30. No, I'm sorry. They're going to claim day 1 of the moon to be day 30 instead of day 29. This is why it's so important for you to keep a record yourself, my brothers and sisters, because these people are trying to get over us. They're not being honest with their reports. And we can all count. Okay? So let me repeat this so you can understand what I'm saying. Day 1 of the new moon is day 29 for Brother Hashur and for Israel. Okay? Day 29. Day 2 of the moon of the Most High calendar would be day 1 for Brother Hashur. Okay? Because he saw the moon for him. However, Israel did not see the moon, but they're going to make this day as day 1 for themselves. Do you see what they're doing? Even when you look at Brother Hashur photo, he got day 30 of the moon. And I'm like, y'all know y'all didn't have 30 days. Y'all know y'all only had 29 days based on your sighting reports. Now, my brothers and sisters, how can I say this? Either they're trying to push a lie on us, good morning, shalom, or they're overlooking their errors big time. Because we can all count. We can all do simple math, unless you have a learning disability. I don't like what they're doing. But this is why we should keep a record so we can make sure. Okay? So now we are entering into the first week of the moon. Okay? And on the first week of the moon, this is what I want to point out unto you. This is the day that most Hebrew Israelites and the Jewish would keep Pentecost. They would keep Pentecost on day 5. And they did their 50th day count because when you look at the Gregorian calendar, we remember that the Passover started on Friday sundown to Saturday sundown. Therefore, after that sundown day, they start counting for their Pentecost. So, you may see some keep it on this day or a day or two after this day. Okay. But this is what I want to point out, because when we start looking at biblical events and what happened with the Israelites when they was in Mount Sinai and what was given unto Moses, you got to question, did they keep Pentecost in the correct season? And based on this calendar right now that I'm looking at, we're still in spring. The sun has not entered into the 4th sign of Mazzaroth yet. Okay. So they're still in spring. And does this align with the biblical events that happened with Moses and the Israelites when they came to Mount Sinai? Another sign that we have to look at, where's their wheat? Is their wheat ripe? How they start harvesting the wheat? Do you see how the heavens go in hand with the earth? How the carnal go in hand with the spiritual? See, the Father always gives more than one witness, spiritually and carnally. So you will find that some would keep Pentecost on day 5 of the moon, which falls on the heathen day. Far as the calendar, check the video description box. That way you can get a printout and a copy and you can review all the biblical verses. But far as learning his calendar, also in the video description box, there's a playlist. And you can also find this playlist on the channel main page. And while you just scroll down, you will see it. Okay. So when they keep Pentecost, it falls on the heathen's day, June 8th to June 9th. And it falls on the sun's day in its 3rd month on the 19th day. Okay. Now let's go to the next day. On day 6 of the moon, we have the moon waxing to 50%. And it falls on the heathen day from June 9th to June 10th, from sundown to sundown. And on the day of the sun in its 3rd month, it falls on the 20th day. And you will see me put the timing when this phase occurred, because when you learn about the moon is constantly moving. So, it's not going to, sit still or be fixed at that percentage. So that's why you see me put down the date and time when this phase occur. And when this phase occurs, it occurs on the heathen's day, June 10th at 8:59 a.m. And this phase occurred before sundown. That's why it falls on June 9th to June 10th from sundown to sundown. That's in the first week of the moon. Okay. Now we're going to look at the 8th day. And this is the day when the Sabbath will fall on. Again, the prophets will back up what I'm saying. You can find clues in the work of Josephus, despite how the Gentile translated his works. You can find clues in the book of Jubilees, as well as Enoch's writers. I mean, it's clues there. Also, read the gospel. It would back it up. Okay, and it makes sense. We didn't have computers. We didn't have technology. Only thing we had was the heavens. And remember, the nation of Israel was not established until we get into what I think it's like the 8th day from creation. So how did they know when the Sabbath was? And I already gave you the answer. Go back and read Exodus chapter 16. The Most High had to tell them when the Sabbath was. Okay. This is why you cannot depend on a heathen's calendar. Because did the Most High give the heathens his Sabbath day? Mm-mm. He gave it unto Israel. Okay. So the Sabbath day falls on the 8th day of the moon. As far as the day of the sun, the Sabbath day falls on the 22nd day of the sun in its third month. And on the heathen's day, it'll fall on June the 11th to June the 12th from sundown to sundown. Okay. Now let's go down to the next week. Also, I need to mention, when you saw that 707 in day 8, let me see, can I scroll back up? That 707 in green represent the seventh Sabbath. Because remember, we are to count 7 complete Sabbaths. This is the Most High Sabbath, not the Gentile Sabbaths or the Roman Sabbath. Even when you study language, the word Saturday comes from a Latin word known as Saturni, dealing with the planet Saturn, which represent the principality Satan. Okay. The Latin word for Sabbath is Sabbaton. Okay. The Hebrew word for Sabbath is Shabbat. So you can see how those words are familiar in translation. However, the word Saturday is a word is does not match up. Okay, go back and look at language, and you will see what I'm talking about. So that's another proof there. Okay, but what you see here, 707 highlighted green, that is the seventh Sabbath. So we have finished completing counting for 7 Sabbaths. Now we have to start the 50-day count as written in Leviticus chapter 23. Now we're going to go to the second week of the moon. In the second week of the moon, on day 9, we are beginning the count of the 50 days. Okay? So it starts on day 9, which fall on the heathen's day, June 12th to June 13th. Far as the day of the sun, it falls on the sun's third month and 23rd day. Now, in the second week of the moon, we're going to look at Brother Howshua Day when he would keep Shavuot. And notice the day of the moon. Now, for him, it falls on day 12 of the moon in the third month. Okay. Now, what I did put, because for him, his Pentecost usually begins on a Monday. And what he usually do, he start counting 50 days after Abib 21st. Because when you go back and study the Holy Convocation days, there are 2 Holy Convocation days that falls within Abib 14th to Abib, to Abib 21st. Well, one of them falls within that week, and the next one falls after it. Those 2 Holy Convocation days are, make sure I got it right. Let me make sure, because I don't want to have it wrong. I know it's Abib 15 is a Holy Convocation day. And let me go to the book of, trying to see which book I can find that's really quick. Oh, I forgot. I have it on my calendar. Forgive me, my brothers and sisters. That's why I had to write this stuff out, because this is a lot of information. But it's good to write it out so we will have it correctly. Okay. So let me correct myself. You have 2 Holy Convocation days that occurs within Abib 14th to Abib 21st. And they are Abib 15th and Abib 21st. So for Brother Howshua, he starts his 50-day count on Abib 22nd. Okay. However, when you look at his past records, he always went in on a Monday to keep his Pentecost. And I think it does start at Sunday at sundown and ends on Monday at sundown. So this is why I have put here as a question mark that his 50th day may start on day 12 of the moon or day 13. Now, if he does do it on day 13 of the moon, you will actually get 51. But that's Brother Howshua thing. Like I said, when they do that math, I don't understand it. It don't line up into what they're saying, and it's not clear. But what I want to point out in the second week of the moon, when we compare, what was the day when Moses and the Israelite entered into, well, came to Mount Sinai? Day 15. So how's their keeping of the Pentecost? And this go for the Jewish as well for Brother Hashur. How y'all keeping Pentecost when it's not aligning up with the biblical events? And then two, y'all not showing proof of the true wheat. And like I said, the wheat today is a lot different. I'm talking about the true wheat, the ancient wheat, the one that cannot be crossbreeded. Okay, cannot. And it has a superior nutrient where it gives you your protein, your vitamins, your mineral, where man can truly live on bread. That's what the Father was comparing the spiritual word to. Okay, that was the Father was comparing the manna of heaven to the bread that he gave to Adam to eat. And you can find more about this in the book of Adam and Eve. The bread that he gave Adam to eat was superior, where he can live off bread and water. And that's done with the carnal body. But when we transition to the body of the Messiah, being his bride, and worship him now and worship the Father in heaven in spirit and truth, we are now sustained with the manna of heaven. That's why he said we shall no longer live by bread, but we should live by the word that proceeded out of the mouth of the Most High Yah. That's that spiritual manna, that bread from heaven. That's what's going to sustain us. That's what's going to give us eternal life. It goes deep. Okay, but let us keep going. But if you see here and we compare the two, how are they having these holy festivals way ahead of the biblical events? And you will see how the day when they came to Mount Sinai and the days that Moses was in Mount Sinai, how it relates to Shavuot, how it relates to Pentecost. It go hand in hand. Okay? But before we get to day 15 of the moon, let's look at day 13 of the moon. Now, here's another strange thing that the moon has done this year. We know, according to Enoch's writers and even the Gentile writers which support this, the moon becomes full on day 14 or day 15. But in this month of the third month, it occurred on the 13th day. Now, we cannot make the correction of this. In other words, we can't, move a day or start the month earlier or start the month later, because when we look at the second month, it had a total of 30 days. Okay? So only thing we can count this is as a sign unto us, my brothers and sisters, because in the past, when I was keeping records of this, as the Most High was teaching me, as I was learning, I said, okay, this is just a sign to let us know that the moon is not operating in her correct appointed time. And this was prophesied not only by the prophet Enoch, again, the Most High spoke himself. Okay, so this full day of the moon occurred on day 13. And while we're counting to Pentecost, it's on day 5 count. And it falls on the heathen's day on June the 16th to June the 17th from sundown to sundown. And on the day of the sun, it falls on the 27th day of the sun's third month. Okay. Now we go to day 15 of the moon. This is the day of the Sabbath. The day of the Sabbath. And on this day is the 7th count of the 50th day count. And this is the day when Moses and the Israelite came to Mount Sinai. Read Exodus chapter 19. And this marks day 1 of their sanctification and the day when Jethro came unto them. You got to understand why they were sanctified. Go back and read. They had to be sanctified before the Most High could come and speak unto them. Okay. On this day, day 15 of the moon falls on the heathen's day, which is June the 18th to June the 19th, from sundown to sundown. And on the day of the sun, it falls on the 29th day of the sun in its third month. Okay? Now let us go to the third week of the moon. Very important. Do you see how the fifth day of the 15th day of the first, second, and third month of the moon, something very significant happens. Okay? Now we get into the third week of the moon. I went down a little bit too far. Let me see, can I just bring this over and click? Here we go. So on the 16th day of the moon, as you see here, that is the 8-day count to Pentecost. And this is day 2 of their sanctification and the day that Jethro is with them. Okay? And it falls on the heathen day. Do I have that day? Let me see if I have it. This year it falls on the heathen's day, June the 19th to June the 20th. And on the sun circuit, it falls on the 30th day of the sun in this third month. Okay. Sorry about that. I went down too fast as usual. Now we're going to look at day 17. Day 17 of the moon. This is day 3. This is the day when the Father come and speak unto the Israelites. Another mystery is the other two was there too. The Father, the Son, and the Ruach HaKodesh, who is the 7 eyes and 7 spirits of Yahuwah. Okay? But let us keep going. This is the day when our Father in heaven came and spoken to Moses and the Israelites. Read Exodus chapter 19, verse 16. And on this day of the 17th day of the moon, we have the sun enter into the 4th sign of Mazzaroth. Okay? And when the sun does this, this is when you have daylight being longer than night. So on this day, the daylight is about 14 hours and night is about 10 hours. Now, because of some things happening within the earth is not aligned with the heavens. Okay? That's another sign to you Israelites to let them know what time we're in, what season we're in, because it's dealing with a birth of a nation to come forth. Okay? And when it does this, when the sun enters the 4th sign of Mazzaroth, it marks its last day. This is the last day of the sun's 3rd month, which is the 31st day of the sun in its 3rd month. Okay? Read Enoch's writing. He gives you the information and the details. If then for this year, it fell on the heathen's day, June the 20th to June the 21st. Okay? So on the next day of the moon, which is in its 3rd week, let me go back up, it's day 18. Now you see me put day 18 in red. It's for a reason. Okay? It's very important. Let me just get my cursor over here. There we go. Bring it down some. There we can see. Day 18 of the moon. This is the 10th day count to Pentecost of the 50. On this day at night, the people are informed, okay, about what was told unto Moses. Because remember, they didn't go with Moses. Moses went up to talk to the Father. They told Moses, you go talk to him, okay? So that happened on day 18 of the moon at night, in the night phase. Because remember, we always begin with a night and end with daylight, sundown to sundown. Okay. Then in the daylight phase on day 18, okay, we have Moses, he's going to build an altar. He established the 12 pillars. He offered the offerings. Then he go back into the mountain. This marked day 1 of the 40 days and 40 nights. So notice I said 40 days. We're talking about daylights. 40 daylights and 40 nights. So Moses go into the mountain after the morning activities in the daylight phase of the day, which starts the count of the 40 daylight days and 40 nights. Very important for you to see this. This is also the day when the covenant was established with the Israelites and the Father. They're covering their marriage. Okay. This took place before Moses went into the mountain because they told Moses, we're going to do this. That's what they told him. We're going to do it. Okay. This is when you have this covenant seals with the blood of the animals. Do you see how Torah represent what's going to take place in the new covenant, dealing with the Son, with the Messiah? Okay. Very deep here. This is why I said, this is the reason why we are to keep these memorial days. Do not listen to these Gentiles. They don't know what they're talking about. I'm talking about the Gentiles who speak against this. Not all Gentiles are the same, Israelites. The Gentiles who speak against this, who do not want to keep a memorial of these days or honor these days, such as you have some of the Christian apologetics, some of the other Christians denominations, because they don't have understanding of these things. When you study the holy days or holy feast days, they are to teach you what was, what is, and what yet to come. They only don't just talk about the Messiah, but it also talks about what would take place, what would happen with the bride, the 144,000, and the nation of Israel. These are some deep things that's going on here that we need to constantly observe and remember so we don't forget. Okay? And it's to keep us prepared, because Messiah said, what? Watch and pray, for he shall come like a thief in the night. So it's to keep us prepared, ready. All right. So when we go in day 19 of the moon, okay, that's 11-day count to Pentecost. And this is make sure I'm looking this right. The first night and the second daylight of the 40 daylights and 40 nights. That's why you see me put 40.5. Okay. Because see, Moses didn't start at night. He started in daylight. So that night phase is going to happen the next day. Okay. So in the third week of the moon on day 21, that we are counted, this is the 13th day count to Pentecost. And on this day of the 21st day of the moon is decreasing in light now to 50%. And it falls on, let me scroll down. Falls on the sun's 4th day in its 4th month. Okay. And in the heathen's day, it falls on June the 24th to June the 25th. And the phase of this moon occurs in the heathen's day on June the 25th at 12:46 p.m. So it occurs before sundown. So that's why it falls on June the 24th to June the 25th, from sundown to sundown. Okay. All right. Which brings us to the Sabbath day now, which is day 22 of the moon. For the sun, we have it to fall on day 5 of the sun in its 4th month. Again, if you don't see, you probably say, well, why don't fall on the same day of the sun and moon? Remember, the sun circuit is longer than the moon circuit. Okay. And the reason why it alternate on the heathens' days, because the heathens don't follow the circuit, so they have, so therefore you're gonna always have a rotating Shabbat. They don't follow the circuits of the heavens. Okay. With the moon, Just as the moon dictate unto us when are the holy days and holy feast days, so will the moon dictate unto us the Sabbaths. Because you will learn through the scriptures. This is from the Old Testament to the New Testament as well as Apocrypha. You will learn that the new moon day does not fall on the same day as the Sabbath. It is separate. Look at the study of the offerings and you will see. You will see. Study the offerings. Okay? Again, this is why you cannot use the Gentile calendar, because you got to have 6 working days between the new moon day and the Sabbath day. Ezekiel give you the formula. The prophet. Okay, so on day 22 of the moon, we have the Sabbath, and that's the 14-day count to Pentecost. And this is the 4th night and the 5th daylight that Moses is on the mountain. And he's still in the cloud. And that's another thing I need to point out. He's still in that cloud. Remember, he's in the midst. He is in the midst of the cloud. He's waiting to speak to the Most High. He stayed in that cloud for about 7 days while he's in Mount Sinai. Okay? That pay is significant. Remember, the Father taught us in Numbers 2 as well. All right? That's why it's so important to keep a record and to write out these biblical events, because then you will see how everything aligns up. Okay? And that's how the Father works. He always gives us a witness in all these things. Now we'll enter into the 4th week of the moon. And in the 4th week of the moon, day 23 of the moon, we have the 15-day count to Pentecost. And this is Moses' 5th night and 6th daylight of the 40 daylights and 40 nights. And he's still in the cloud. This is day 6 of him being in the cloud. Okay? And as far as the sun, it falls on the sun's 6th day in the 4th month. And on the heathen's day, it falls June the 26th to June the 27th. So I do want to mention, after the sun enters the 4th sign of Mazzaroth, the next day is the start of summer. So now we see that the Jewish day and Howshua's day of keeping Pentecost is out of season. It is out of season. It has to fall in summertime. My father is a farmer, and when he was growing wheat himself, he told me this out of his own mouth. My dad, wheat is only right in summertime. Okay? There is a video playlist that, as I mentioned before, and it's dealing with what they did not tell you about the 4th month and why the Israelite chose a heathen god to represent the 4th month. It has to do with the wheat, a mystery that many do not understand. Because remember, the Israelites have been known to combine idolatry with the sacred things that the Most High Yah has given unto them. You will see them doing a mixture, combining it together. And then you will understand when they was in the Babylonian captivity, why they chose to name that 4th month after that deity. Okay, it's a reason why they chose that. Again, the Israelites will mix idolatry with the sacred things that the Most High Yah had gave unto them. And this is why he punished them. This is why we are in our captivity now. Okay. Now we're going to look at, let me see here. I want to go to day 24 of the moon because it's a significant event that occurred on this day. This is the 16-day count to Pentecost, and this is Moses' 6th night and 7th daylight. Okay. And this is the day that on the 7th day of the 40 and a half days that the Most High called out to Moses. He told Moses, I'm going to read this word for her. Word, Yahuwah called Moses out of the midst of the cloud. And you can read that in Exodus chapter 24, verse 16. This represents something very significant here. And I read it further, but I want to give it to you now. When you subtract 7 from 40 and a half, remember, he started in the daylight. He started in part of a day. He didn't start at the beginning of the day. He started in the part of the day. So, so the night phase will carry over in the other part of the day, making this a total of 40 and a half days. But however, you will get 40 daylights and 40 nights. So when I subtract 7 from 40, it represents 33 and a half. What did that remind you of, Israelites and Gentiles? Does not that remind you of the Messiah age, where he shall be crucified and resurrect and redeem the captives out of Sheol at the age of 33 and a half? Also, when we look at 33 and a half, when we take part of that number, which is 3.5, don't it represent of the time of the years that he preached? Okay. Also, when we look at 3.5, doesn't it represent the two witnesses who are Enoch and Elijah, because they are the only two that have not received an earthly death yet? Okay, they have been preserved and kept in the heavens to their appointed time, for they shall prophesy against the fourth beast, as written in Romans chapter 11, Zechariah chapter 4, and Zechariah chapter 11. It will give you understanding who are the two olive trees and who are the two candlesticks. The two olive trees represent the two prophets that shall prophesy against the fourth beast, which are Enoch and Elijah. And the two candlesticks, which is the menorah, represent the house of Judah and the house of Israel, those two kingdoms. Okay? So they shall prophesy for 3.5 years. And even when they die, their bodies shall remain in the street with their heads cut off for 3.5 days. So within that fourth day, they're going to resurrect. Ain't it amazing how all these numbers line up? Our fathers speak to us in numbers, in letters, in the Hebrew letters, because they have a meaning, through words, through science, through the heavens, through the earth. He is constantly talking to us, but we can't recognize the signs. Just as the Messiah told the Pharisee, cannot ye discern the signs of the time, but yet you look at the heavens to tell you when the weather is? Go back. It's some deep things in the gospel that would give you understanding about Torah and why we keep all these things and how nothing has not changed, but we are now worshiping now in spirit and truth. And because he who dwells in us, this is why we can keep Torah perfectly. For we are under the Messiah, not under the law. That means the Messiah is our teacher, our judge, and our ruler. He set the example. And because him who dwelt in us, that's why we are kept. That's why we are sanctified and perfect in the Father's eyes. That's why we can go before him, because he who dwelt in us. However, when those who are under the law will condemn you and judge you, and you shall receive eternal damnation. So I'd rather be under the Messiah instead of the law being my judge, ruler, and teacher. That's a mystery that the Christians do not understand. They think all these things have been put away with, but they're not understanding. They're not understanding. If you understand these things, go back and look at the Messiah. He tells you what has changed and what has not changed, and how we shall worship the Father in spirit and truth. Because Torah teaches us how to love one another. It teaches us how to worship and how to serve Yahuwah. It teaches what is sin. It teaches what is a transgression. It teaches what is clean and holy, what is profane, what is abominable. So you cannot put these things away, because the prophets have prophesied that we're going to keep these things in the new heaven and in the new earth, in the new kingdom. We're going back to the Creator original plan, because his original plan is not a burden. It's a delight. Because this way of life we in now, we are in darkness. We are stressed out. We are tired and burdened and oppressed and vexed. So if I don't know about you, I want what the Father has for me. Because this way of life we live in now, this is not our home. This is not our world. This is not the plan that the Father has for us. This is not his plan on how we should live our life. He has something better. Okay. All right. So as we go on, when we look in the fourth week of the moon, on day 28 of the moon is decreasing in light to the last waning crescent, and this phase occur on July the 1st to July the 2nd from sundown to sundown. Okay. And on this day, on the 28th day of the moon, we have Moses being in his 10th night and 11th daylight of the 40 daylights and 40 nights. Okay. And this is the 20-day count to Pentecost. On day 29th of the moon no longer has light upon her, and as the prophet Enoch prophesies, this marks the ending of the month. When we no longer can see the moon in the heaven, it marks the ending of the month. Okay? And that phase would occur on the heathen's day. Let me bring my cursor over here so I can bring it down so we can see what the heathen's day is. It occurs on the heathen's day, July the 2nd to July the 3rd from sundown to sundown, and it falls on the sun's 12th day in its 4th month. And the dark moon occurs for as a timing of this phase on the heathen's day. It occurred July the 2nd at 10:16 p.m. So this phase occurred after sundown, therefore it will be from the 2nd to the 3rd. Right? And this marks the 21st day count to Pentecost. So as you see here, when we get to this part of the calendar, we are still waiting to see the moon to see whether the 3rd month will have 30 days or 29 days. Okay. Now you can see how Pentecost, the count of the 50-day Pentecost, go in hand what takes place with Moses and the children of Israel when they come to Mount Sinai. And we're going to go over one more thing. But let me finish this part with the calendar first. So the sun enters the 4th sign of Mazzaroth, and the Gentile called this 4th sign Cancer. And this is located in the 90-degree this sign is located the 90-degree within the circuits of the heavens. Okay. And this phase in Arad, Israel, it occurred on June the 21st, 2019 at 6:54 p.m. And we know daylight is longer than night. So therefore, this phase occurred before sundown. In the Eastern time zone of America, it would fall on June the 21st, 2019 at 11:54 a.m. Okay. The Gentile called this the summer solstice. Okay. Again, this is when the earth was going to be covered a little bit more with light, and the other part of the earth be covered with darkness. So this is why you have about 14 hours of daylight and about 10 hours of night. But because of the earthquake, the earths have shifted and no longer align the heavens. So you will see the length of daylight being maybe a little longer than 14 hours, and the length of night may be a little shorter, or vice versa. Okay, because of that change now. We have already talked about the significance of the 40 daylights and 40 nights, which come out to be 40 and a half days, and what the 7th day represent of Moses being in the cloud when he was in Mount Sinai. So we ought to talk about that, how it relates to Messiah age and how it relates to the 2 witnesses who are yet to come. Remember, a man can only die once, as written in the word. According to the prophet Enoch, when the sun entered into the 4th sign of Mazzaroth, right here, it would be about 12 parts. 12 parts represent 14 hours, and the night will be about 6 parts, which is represented by 10 hours. Okay. Now, here's the part I want to close out with. When you go to the book of Jubilees, the Father had to remind me of this. When you read Jubilees and along with Genesis, because Moses was given these things when he entered into Mount Sinai for 40 days and 40 nights, or if you don't say 40 daylights and 40 nights. Okay. And it was something that the Father pointed out to me to remind you. So when you read this, you have to remember what is the correct month. For example, all the way up from the day of Adam until we get to Moses, the first month was known as Tishri or Ethanim. So this is why I have to make sure when I list the biblical events of the flood that took place with Noah, I have to make sure I put it in the right month. And I do apologize for that error, but it's a reason why I'm going to still leave it there, but I'm going to make a note that it's occurred in the 9th month so it can be clear. It's the reason why the Israelites are ordered or are commanded to have this to have Pentecost as a 2/4 festival. Okay. And why the 50-day count actually starts in the 3rd month. All right. Remember the formula that Leviticus chapter 23 gave us. You have to count 7 complete Sabbaths, and then you have to count 50 days. So the 50-day count starts in the 3rd month. And you see how it lines up with the children of Israel entering into Mount Sinai. We're coming to Mount Sinai. Okay. So when you read a book of Jubilees, we have to remember this. When it mentioned the months of when Moses kept certain festivals or certain feasts, because it says here, and I got to turn my book open to it so you can see what I'm talking about. And forgive me, because I had it, all put together. When you go to chapter 6 and you read that whole chapter, you will learn that Noah kept certain festivals in certain months on the Most High calendar. And the reason why I'm turning to this, I want to make sure I get the right month. He kept a festival in the 1st month, and for Noah, that'd be Tishri. Then he kept it in the 4th month, and that is the 10th month. Let me make sure we have 7, 8, 9, 10. The 10th month, which is known as I'm trying to think of the word. Yeah, Tibet. I wrote it here on the side. Tibet. Okay. So he kept a feast in that month. And that was on the new moon day. And then in his 7th month, he kept a feast in the 7th month on the new moon day. And that month is known as Abib. Okay. And then in the new moon on the 10th day, on the 10th month, he kept a feast. And that 10th month is known as the 4th month. Okay. And then, let me see here. So that makes a total of 4 months. So we repeat this again. For Noah, he kept holy festivals on the new moon day, on the month Tishri, or anything known as the 1st month. Then he kept it in Tibet. That month is known as the 4th month for him. Then he kept it in the 7th month, that known as the month of Aviv. And then he kept it in the 10th month, and that known as the 4th month. And when you read chapter 6, you will see why it's so significant. But for the sake of timing, I'm only going to read Jubilees chapter 6, verse 19 to 23, because the Most High had to remind me, remember the setting when it takes place. And remember this, Moses was in the cloud for 7 days before the Father spoke to him. Okay? So notice, pay attention as we read this. Jubilees chapter 6, verse 19 to 13. I'm going to try to bring this out so y'all can see all of this. Jubilees chapter 6, verse 19. But Abraham observed it, and Isaac and Jacob and his children observed it up to thou days. In thou days, the children of Israel forgot it until ye celebrate it anew on this mountain. Okay. Notice that I have in red and underlined. It said, until ye celebrate it anew on this mountain. So those who's keeping Pentecost before, when the children of Israel came to Mount Sinai, that's one of the evidence to prove that we are not keeping it in the right time. Okay. Now, let me go keep saying this. What the Father is saying here, he established what I call it the rainbow covenant. That's how I can remember best. He made a covenant with Adam, mankind, with Noah, to let us know that he's not going to destroy the world by flood anymore. Okay. And it's like to keep a remember of this covenant, they was to keep a festival of this. Okay. However, when the children of Israel went into Egypt, they forgotten it. It was forgotten. A lot of things were forgotten. Okay. Notice what he said here to Moses, and he's speaking to Moses when he's when he's in Mount Sinai, but he only speak to Moses after the 7 days. And notice how long Moses is in this mountain. He's in this mountain for 40 daylights and 40 nights. I have to iterate this because Moses is giving these instructions, not only that pertains to the holy feast days, but also, to the establishment of the tabernacles, dealing with the statutes, the judgment, and commandments. So it took Moses to receive all this in 40 daylights and 40 nights. This is very important to understand this. And notice what the Father says here. He said, ye shall celebrate it anew on this mountain. So when you read Torah, you will learn that they was there for about, I know it was a year and 2 months, something like that. They was in Mount Sinai for about a year and 2 months. Okay. It's there. Go back and read Torah. Okay. And those he said anew. So he's doing something what? Anew. Just like he's going to make the heaven and the earth anew when he brings the new eternal kingdom. It's going to be anew. So this lets me know there was a change taking place. Just like he changed the beginning of the year for my ancestors. Instead of Tishri or Ephraim, he changed it to Abib. Okay. I can't understand your question. You may want to retype that so I can understand what you're asking. Okay. So this is something new. So it takes place at Mount Sinai. All right. Dealing with the feast of Pentecost or Shavuot. So let us read verse 20. And do thou command the children of Israel to observe this festival in all their generations for a commandment unto them. Shalom, sis. Okay, I'm just waiting for my screen to clear up so I can read this. Okay, where we at? Verse 20. And do thou command the children of Israel to observe. I am so sorry about that. I got interrupted. Let's pray. I can get through this because I want y'all to have this so you can study, pray, and meditate, because all of us want to keep these holy days in the right season, the right time, according to Yahuwah commandments. So let's try to read verse 20 again. And do thou command the children of Israel to observe in all their generation for a commandment unto them. One day in the year, in this month, they shall celebrate the festival. Now, my brothers and sisters, I went back and reread chapter 6. And I'm telling y'all, what I noticed that he didn't notice that he said this month. So the month is really specified. What I'm saying is, when you read Jubilee chapter 6, it's going to start off or chapter 5, like in the 3rd month. But it's talking about in the 3rd month of Noah. Okay. So this is why I'm reinforcing you that you got to pay attention to the wording, to the setting, and to the time when he spoke this to Moses that pertained to the children of Israel keeping Shavuot. So notice he said this month. He don't say the 3rd month. He said this month. So that instruction occurred during the time, within the time of the 40 daylights and the 40 nights. And we know the 40 daylights and the 40 nights take place between the 3rd and the 4th month of the Most High calendar. Okay. So when you read Jubilees chapter 5 and chapter 6, take your time, get a notepad, write it out, so you can understand what time setting. Okay. Look at verse 21. For it is the feast of weeks and the feast of first fruits. This feast is twofold and of double nature, according to what is written and engraven concerning it, celebrate it. So now we begin to understand why it's a new, because the Most High has combined two things. He has combined the remembrance of the covenant that he established with Noah, and he has combined the festival of the wheat harvest. Anew. Do you see this? Okay. For I have written in the book of the first law, in that which I have written for thee, that thou shouldest celebrate it in this season, one day in the year. And I explained to thee its sacrifices, that the children of Israel should remember and should celebrate it throughout their generation in this month, in one day in every year. So this holy festival takes place on one day every year. But we got to figure out the month. And again, the month is given unto us with Leviticus chapter 23 formula. And you're going to notice that this festival is going to fall within the time that the children of Israel is at Mount Sinai. And it's going to fall in the time that Moses is on the mountain for 40 days and 40 nights. Go back and read Exodus. Count it out. It's going to take place within that time frame. Okay. Let me see what verse I'm at. Verse 23. And on the new moon of the first month, and on the new moon of the fourth, I had to bring this in a little close because I want to read this correctly. And on the new moon of the first month, and on the new moon of the fourth month, and on the new moon of the seventh month, and on the new moon of the 10th month are the days of remembrance, and the days of the seasons in the 4 divisions of the year. These are written and ordained as a testimony forever. So as I said before, when you read Jubilees chapter 5 and chapter 6 and you study with Genesis and you go back to Exodus and read, and then when you look at Leviticus 23, you begin to understand why Pentecost is in summertime. Okay. You also begin to understand why Pentecost usually gonna fall in the 4th month of the Most High calendar when you look at these biblical events. Because when the nation of Israel was established in the land of Egypt, they've forgotten a lot of the sacred festivals that their forefathers kept. Okay. So when the Father brought them out, he had to what? Reteach them and show them what was correct, what was proper, what he preferred. But before that could take place, when you look at the different events, first he had to what? Bring them into his rest. Then in between the rest and the giving of the Sabbath day, they had to be what? Sanctified. Once that take place, then he became what? Their covering, their Isha, their husband. They had to be entered into the marriage. Okay. And then for mankind's sake, the covenant that was established between Noah and him, there had to be a remembrance of that covenant. So Israel was the one who kept it going. Okay. And today we can see evidence of that in the signs of the heaven, because we see a rainbow, and that rainbow signifies unto us that the Father is not going to destroy the world by flood anymore, but we know he's going to come with fire, and fire is going hand with the word. Let me see what else he wants me to point out when you read Jubilees. So when you read Jubilees, just get familiar with the months and know what month it is, because remember, there was a change from Adam until you get to Moses. They started their year with Tishri, okay? But now when we got to Moses, when he brought him, when he had them to keep Passover, it changed to Abib. And it makes sense because when you look at the first, the fourth, the seventh, and the 10th month, something significant is happening in these months. Okay? When you look at the biblical events and the holy days, something significant is happening in these months, which relates to the seasons. Well, this video has been very long. I'm sorry, but I had to be in detail because we cannot overlook these things. We have to be reminded because it goes in hand with what is yet to come. And these things will give us deep understanding of these things. Okay. Let me go back up to close everything out. So as we can see, in the 3rd month, this is the month of the covenant, the month of the marriage, known as Shivan, known as their covering. And now we can see why this is their covering, because this is the month that they what's the word? Enter into the covenant. In other words, they agreed to the covenant. Okay. And it happened on day 18 of the moon. And on day 18 of the moon, after that covenant was established, that's when Moses went into the mountains to get the judgment, statutes, commandments, and the instructions on the holy days and holy feast days, even down to the building of the tabernacle. All that was taking place in the 40 daylights and the 40 nights. Okay. And we'll talk about the rest of the count to Pentecost when the 4th month comes, so we can see the events that take place in that month. So you can see why Pentecost falls in the 4th month and not in the 3rd month. Okay. And FYI, we can see that whether Brother Howshua keep it on day 12 or day 13, and whether the Jews keep it on day 5 of the moon, we can see that is out of season. It should be in summertime. It should happen after, the sun entered the 4th sign of Mazzaroth. And we see it's way before. It's way before the 15th day. Okay? Way before. It doesn't line up. Okay? To have access to this calendar, and I am going to make some correction to that biblical event with the covenant that Noah established. It occurred in the 9th month. However, the Most High brought it to Moses' attention that now we would carry on the remembrance of it, but it would take place in the month that he ordained that it's going to take place. It's going to be anew. So according to the formula, it would take place in the 4th month. All right, my brothers and sisters, continue to read. Continue to preach. Continue to tell people to receive the salvation of Yahuwah, to enter into the new covenant that his son has established. Because only through that covenant can we keep Torah perfectly. Only through that covenant shall we receive eternal life and inherit what's there for us in the new eternal kingdom. Only through that covenant. So preach or tell people about the salvation of Yahuwah, and make sure they are baptized in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach. Read Romans chapter 8 and read the gospel as well as the epistles in the book of Acts, because the Lamb set the example of the water baptism and the Holy Spirit baptism. And the example the Lamb set, we shall follow, the bride and the 144,000. But for the nation of Israel, the Father shall deal with them in the wilderness. He shall have mercy upon Israel, as written in Romans chapter 11. He shall give them a new heart and a new spirit, and at that appointed time, they will enter in the new eternal covenant that he was established with them. And they will no longer call him Baali, they will call him Ishai, and they will be his people. Shalom.